Picture holding a plastic tray in a crowded cafeteria. You scan the room, passing table after table of people laughing and talking, and slowly realize you have absolutely no one to sit with. We are culturally conditioned to view university life as a peak social period, a time defined by constant connection. But for many, the transition to campus reveals a much more isolated reality. A recent cross-sectional survey of UK university students set out to examine exactly how these daily eating habits intersect with student well-being. This data visualization shows their primary finding. Out of the total population surveyed, 16.1% of students are currently experiencing severe loneliness. With isolation operating at this scale, the basic daily necessity of eating 3 meals a day becomes a highly visible test of social success. Sociologists use a specific term for the act of sharing a meal around a common table: commensality. It is an ancient human practice designed to build and reinforce social bonds. Most of us navigate our early lives relying on built-in commensal circles, default networks we eat with every day, whether that means family dinners at home or sitting with the same high school friends for years. As we see in this network graph, the transition to university abruptly severs those connections. Moving to campus can cause an established social network to vanish overnight, leaving a student in a social vacuum. Because students still need to eat multiple times a day, they are forced to confront this sudden lack of companionship repeatedly. Without these established networks to fall back on, the dinner plate becomes a recurring, tangible marker of a student's social isolation. This raises a question about the nature of solo dining. Does the act of eating alone automatically lead to these feelings? The researchers found a distinct breakfast exception. Their data shows that eating breakfast alone has no correlation with higher rates of loneliness. This is because a solitary breakfast is a widely accepted cultural norm. We expect people to eat a bowl of cereal alone before an early class, so the brain attaches no psychological penalty to the experience. But for lunch and dinner, geography alters emotional outcomes. On this campus map, eating alone outside keeps loneliness metrics stable. However, eating alone indoors, like in cafes or dorms, shows a significant loneliness increase. Loneliness in this context isn't about the physical reality of being by yourself. It is influenced by the invisible social expectations projected onto the physical environment. Psychologists refer to this as social evaluation, the fear that others in a communal space are judging you for sitting by yourself. Surveyed students identified specific negative emotions tied to solo dining in these enclosed venues, reporting feelings of embarrassment, a sense of discomfort, and intense apprehension. To navigate this intense public awkwardness, students often deploy a very modern and highly effective coping mechanism, the smartphone. But this line chart reveals the coping mechanism is a trap. There is a stark correlation between screen time during a meal and loneliness. Students constantly using electronic devices reported the highest levels of severe loneliness. The screen acts as a digital shield. It successfully blocks out the immediate social anxiety of the cafeteria, but it simultaneously prevents any chance of a real-world interaction. The tool designed to make us feel a company during a meal can become the exact mechanism that cements our isolation. This data shows why standard advice often fails to address the reality of the situation. Telling a lonely student to just sit with strangers overlooks the mechanics of the problem. The study documented significant social barriers, including an overwhelming apprehension about reaching out to lovers, and a physical discomfort when trying to eat with non-close peers. These are substantial psychological roadblocks that make forced, artificial socialization ineffective. Addressing the commensality crisis requires us to rethink the physical environments where students eat, rather than simply asking lonely individuals to change their behavior. Universities and urban planners have an opportunity to rethink the architecture of public dining. This illustration shows how spaces adapt. By integrating low-pressure, single-occupancy counter-seating with communal tables, we create dining environments that feel less socially exposing. These designs provide a destigmatized baseline, allowing students to exist in a public space without anxiety, creating the organic opportunities needed to form new commensal circles over time. We often treat food as purely utilitarian fuel, a task to be completed as quickly as possible, but the data tells a different story. How, where, and with whom we eat remains a fundamental baseline of human connection.